There is a reason the world's greatest wealth has always been built on the ground beneath our feet. Markets fluctuate, trends fade, but real estate remains the bedrock of a secure portfolio, the safest harbor for your capital. At FH Growth Fund, we don't just buy property, we engineer opportunity. Our team specializes in precision deal structuring. We identify the inefficiencies others miss, creating a moat around your investment. We focus on the math of the perfect match, marrying aggressive equity growth with defensive risk management. If you are ready to stop speculating and start building, your equity has found its home. FH Growth Fund, structured for success, built for you. The following detailed presentation will provide an overview of our investment fund for your consideration.
Hey everybody, my name is Jan Lam, founder of Fortune Homes Team. I'm super excited about sharing with you guys our real estate equity fund that we're currently raising capital for to take on some incredible deals that we have in our pipeline that are low risk, high return. So let's go ahead and get right into it, okay? So a little bit about disclaimers. If you guys want a copy of our slide deck, feel free to complete the form. And in the form, you guys will have access to a data room that will also give you access to the slide deck, in addition to a lot of other documentation about our fund, showing our legal documents and also our past performance, our track record, our team, biographies, and so forth. So that way you guys can make an intelligent decision based on your review. All right. Our executive summary. We are currently seeking $100 million in aggregate capital to be able to invest in residential, mixed use, and commercial properties, primarily in Maryland, DC, Virginia, and also North Carolina. Now, we choose these locations because our target marketplaces consistently show demand for new real estate, but also we're targeting municipalities that are very friendly and incentivized to grow. In other words, we've worked with certain counties and cities before where they throw the book at you, a lot of red tape, a lot of fees, they delay approvals, and that in turn delays the project, reducing return on investment. We want to work in locations where municipalities know what to expect from us and we know what to expect from them. All right, so in that, it's very predictable when it comes to what the results will be. A little over 10 years ago, I created an organization called Fortune Homes Team. This is a national network of real estate professionals. We're currently 10,000 members strong all across the country, and the value of this organization is that we constantly get off-market deals. See, if you guys take a look at real estate deals, they're everywhere in the public space. You go on Zillow.com, you go on LoopNet, you go on different organizations that's public space, everyone sees these deals. Well, what happens is when everyone sees it, they compete for them, driving up prices and therefore making them no longer viable good deals for high return and low risk. We focus on deals that no one else sees except for us, allowing us to have a competitive advantage to be able to negotiate incredible deals and no one else can see them. In addition to that, we also have a network within Fortune Homes Team of end buyers. Now, why is this important? Well, imagine being able to source a deal and visualize what the exit strategy will be. And before you even buy the deal, you already have lined up an end buyer for your deal because of your network. So for example, let's say you have a large plot of land, let's say 50 acres, and you can visualize single family homes on that plot of land. And in that visualization, you're able to network within our group and find a national builder that wants to build in that lot. And what happens is before you do that, you propose a site design to this national builder, and they go ahead and buy into that and put a contract on your deal before you even buy it. That's the type of structure that we consistently have, allowing us to reduce the risk of the deal because the end buyer is already lined up. And because the end buyer is already lined up, we don't have to spend time looking for an end buyer after the project's done, allowing us to have high return because of the shrunken time to be able to find that end buyer and exit the deal and getting the money back. All right. So there lie, guys, our capital needs. We have more deals right now than we do have capital. And so new opportunities come across our desk weekly, but we simply can't take all of them on because of the lack of capital, which is why we're here today raising this for this fund here. All right. So our capital sources for people like you, we want to be able to provide a safe and secure investment opportunities within our fund to be able to take on these deals here. How we secure your funds is very simple, all right? Real estate never loses value over time. So what we do is we tie your capital with the fund into the real estate through a first deed of trust or a percent equity inside the entity that owns the property with no debt, and a number of other legal instruments that allows us to maintain our security there. All right. So in the event something happens, that security blanket is always there and the value is never lost because of that security instrument. Okay. So your principal investment is always secured by those legal instruments. In addition to that, to produce high returns, we want to use debt as leverage because when you borrow money from a bank, let's say 5, 6, 7%, it's a lot cheaper than borrowing it from equity. And we want to be able to use debt as a tool to be able to increase your return on investment so we don't dilute your return on investment. In our fund thesis, we are building a real estate fund that focuses on residential and commercial land, mixed use communities in the Virginia, DC, North Carolina, and Maryland marketplaces. Okay, so looking at this map here, you can kind of get an idea of where things are growing based on emerging industries. All right, let me share you guys about our strategy within Fortune Homes. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, a little over 10 years ago, we founded Fortune Homes team. We operate that a proprietary national network of real estate investors, thousands of members. Okay, and there's multiple locations out there that we have market leaders that head up these little local communities. All right. In addition to that, for the last 10 years, we also have an education company called RE Street Smart. Feel free to look it up. REStreetSmart.com is our education company. In that company, we have produced thousands of new students that are also real estate investors. And within our student base, who knows what they're doing because they followed our system to the letter, using our vendors that have been pre-endorsed, pre-qualified because they've been used in the past with great success, it mitigates the risk of failure. All right. So with the student base, they're constantly needing capital. And for the past 10 years before this fund, we've been referring these students to our partners and lenders out there that we could have taken in-house within this fund so that way we can share in the wealth within the family of this fund. All right. So once we source the great deals, we also have to make sure that we have good control structures. All right. So purchase price is very important. The after development value must be analyzed. We got to make sure there's profitability there. We got to make sure that there's a viable value add strategy. What is the strategy going to be when it comes to increasing value? Is it increasing net operating income? Is it improving on physical appearance? You know, what kind of value add are we doing to make sure that the value of the property increases after it has been purchased, okay? And we also want to do a market analysis to make sure that the market in that location has a need for what's being produced. So if there's high demand, that's great. If there's low demand, then we want to reevaluate to see if the purchase price is valuable, or maybe we don't want to take on that deal at all because it may not exit on time. All right. So in our underwriting guidelines, we want to achieve targeted returns. So we got to make sure that the person in control of that investment, the developer or the sponsor, must show a history of successful past performance. We also got to do a risk analysis based on the pro forma to include a contingency in there for unknown things and also known things that will come up along the way. And if this 10% risk contingency is not realized, or maybe only partially realized, that simply improves return on investment for that particular deal. Okay. So as mentioned earlier, our target opportunities are residential fix and flip. We also do residential land and commercial land development, multi-family development, and value add as well. So a lot of opportunity here. And the reason why, guys, we're targeting these different facets of real estate is because we want to create a diversified fund. All right. So as you guys know from different financial advisors, diversification is the key for security, right? So in any given year, right, then one area may be more in demand than the other area. For example, one year land development may be high in demand. The next year may be slow and fix and flip may be high in demand. Or maybe the purchases of new homes by new home buyers is slow, so more people are renting. So multifamily is now the thing, right? So we want to have a diversified portfolio so that way we can constantly deploy funds into deals and not having sitting idle where it doesn't perform at all. All right? A little bit about our process, okay, is that nothing happens until step one is done, and that's deal sourcing. So this is an example of land development, okay? So it's a very similar process for all other real estate assets, But land development is one of our favorite things to do because it's one of the lowest risks, okay? So deal sourcing, we want to look for pocket listings. What are pocket listings? These are listings from within our network. There are licensed agents and they want to bring us the deal because they know that our team can perform. Agents do not want to work with potential buyers who they're uncertain that they can perform and close the deal, because the agents at the end of the day want to earn their commission. So if they're working with a buyer who they don't know can perform, now they're risking their commission and they have to start the process all over again if that person doesn't perform. Our team has had a long-standing history of performance and success, and therefore high credibility, allowing us to get these pocket listings in very short order. Within our network, we get a lot of referrals. We also have a lot of relationships with national builders, and we have a lot of, and we also have a team of acquisition managers who are out there constantly looking for deals, using our system to hunt for good deals. All right. And once these deals come into our pipeline, we underwrite them. We take a look at the developer and sponsor's past performance. We look at the pro forma, look at their end buyer sourcing strategy. We'll look at the actual exit strategy itself, and looking at the municipality's support for what they're trying to accomplish. Is it going to be easy to accomplish? Is it going to be hard to accomplish? What kind of feasibility has been done already within the deal, so that way it's solid, all right? And once all those things are done, then within our fund, we're going to deploy that money into the deal and have it perform, and we can manage it as a fund manager accordingly. Now, do we deploy all the money at once? The answer is no. Okay, that would not be very wise. What we do is we deploy partially in the acquisition, but we hold back any construction money to ensure that milestones are hit before we release the rest, the milestones value of that particular milestone that was hit already. All right. So the sponsor and developer who's doing this deal, they have to have skin in the game as well, because without skin in the game, then there is no incentive for them to perform. All right. We also set up our structure in a way for the worst case scenario. I mean, God forbid, what happens if the developer passes away or there's an accident and they're no longer available to do the project? Well, our loan document set by our attorneys allows us to be able to cure those things through foreclosure sales or taking control of the property so that we can finish the project, or selling the project to another developer to be able to get the principal and returns back as promised accordingly. So there's a lot of different mitigation steps that we put in place for the worst case scenario, and we have a very, very good law firm that takes care of all that for us. And all they do is think about worst case scenarios all day long, so that way it protects our principals' money, okay, our investors' money and principals. And of course, step number 5, we go ahead and manage the project construction holdbacks as mentioned earlier, and then we exit the project accordingly, so that way the principals are returned and the profits are realized for all of our investors. Okay, so I want to go through a couple of different case studies. I want to fully disclose to you guys that the numbers that you see here are numbers based on the actual deal and not the actual, what I call the IRR, which is the internal rate of return, which includes all the fund expenses. Okay, so the return on investment here, these percentages are actually higher than what you'll be receiving because it has not accounted for the expenses of managing the fund yet. All right, so in this particular example, $280,000 was deployed into this deal. This was in DC. It was a very simple fix and flip deal. And the return on investment for this deal over 6 months was roughly 29%. So very simple. You take the before picture. This was a probate property that was vacant for about two or 3 years or so inside DC, because DC has a very long probate process. And once it is acquired, then we renovate it to today's standards, so that way it's sold to a new homeowner who can live there safely and comfortably without any hazardous conditions. All right. Now, this is just one of many deals. Fix and flip is a high volume business, and in our network, we can easily fund about 50 of these deals on an annual basis because of our real estate investor network and also our student base who are constantly doing fix and flip deals in in their local marketplaces. All right. So this is an example of a fix and flip deal. I want to share you guys a quick video here of what a fix and flip deal looks like for one of our investors. right, guys. So that's one example. Again, that's one of many, all right, that are fix and flipping deals that we finance out there. So here's an example of a land development deal that's being sold to a national builder. One of the things I love about land development is that our team structures deals to where we put it in a very low risk proposition. So as an example, all right, this deal is 45 acres of raw land. It's been entitled to be able to have 170 single family homes. But and it's already pre-sold to a national builder. And that national builder not only has a ratified contract, but in this particular deal, they have a deposit in escrow that was released into the deal when it was purchased by our team. And that deposit was $1.8 million, allowing us to secure that money as interest-free, being used for not only the acquisition, but also the development of the loan, gives our investors a very high return, low risk proposition. Our money is put in first position mortgage. The builder's $1.8 million deposit is put in second position, meaning that if anything bad were to happen, our position always gets paid first, allowing us to have our investors in the lowest risk position for this particular deal. It's almost no risk, all right? And the reason why I say it's almost no risk is because the national builder put in $1.8 million. Do you think they're going to want to lose that $1.8 million? The answer is no. Okay, they're going to structure in a way that if something bad were to happen, again, if the sponsor or developer passes away, or they got injured or got hit by a bus or things like that, then they can go ahead and cure that to make sure they take care of our investors and take care of the project, or we can foreclose on it and take it over and do what we need to get the project done. So, the great thing about these investment guys is that we're not in it alone. The, our success is also their success, and we put things in position so that way if things were to go bad, then we have other people on the line here, such as this builder, to make sure that this deal succeeds, because they don't want to lose their money as well. All right, so it's all about, in real estate, it's all about putting yourself in the best position to make sure it's incentivized for them to succeed because of your success. All right, so this is one example of that. Okay. So let me show you a video here of land development. So this is the deal. 45 acres. It was full of shrubs and trees. The land was not flat, so we had to regrade it. 170 lots. So once it was entitled, then they went ahead and removed the trees, graded the land, and then built temporary ponds for stormwater management and so forth. That way the neighbors don't have a flooding problem once they build a community and they have complaints. That's all required by the city for this particular location here. So that's an example of land development. And great thing about this is that it's easy because we don't have to build the houses. All we're doing is building the pads, selling it to the builder, and the builder is the one who's going to take the risk to build the houses, the model home, and so forth, and then sell it to the actual public. So here's another deal with the same team, not too far away from the ones that this is in Fayetteville, North Carolina, near Fort Bragg. It's 10 acres, and this is a townhouse community where we're going to build 45 townhomes. All right. So the land for this, because it was only 10 acres, was only $175,000. So the investment that we deployed here to take care of not only the acquisition but also the soft costs and some miniature construction at the beginning was roughly just under $300,000. All right. So let me share you guys a quick video of what this deal looks like. So in the land here, it was a very hilly land, so they had to flatten it out, regrade it, remove some of the dirt that was not needed there. This was October 2025. All right, so just a couple months later, once the land was graded properly, then they went ahead and put the forms in for the first set of 4 townhomes. You build 4 townhomes in each set here. Just the following month, after Christmas and New Year's, they went ahead and poured the slab and secured the taps for the pipes for each of the 4 townhomes for the first one, and then at the same time they started building framing on the first level. All right. So after the slab was there, just look at this. Just 2 weeks later, they're already on the second floor on the first 4 sets of townhomes. Okay. So the other video was the front. This is the back. All right, and they began to put the insulation wrap on the plywood sheathing on the outside of the house, and they already started pre-marketing it. So that way we can get some buyers, potential buyers in the pipeline long before it's done. And look at this. It's March 2026. The siding's in, windows are in, drywall's in, the roof is in. All right. And just across the street, the second 8 townhomes have already been under construction. And there you have it. All right. So that's in the construction just at the same time. And then the second 4 townhomes. This is the third 4 townhomes. The form's just starting there, okay? So obviously they're gonna be pre-selling this pretty quickly once it's all hooked up, the roads are in and so forth. So very super excited about that right there. Okay, so those are some of the deals that are in flight right now, and I want to share you guys a couple of deals that are in our pipeline right now that we're looking to close in the very near future here. This is across the street from the other deal that we shared earlier with the 170 lots. This is the 146 lots, very similar setup, 36 acres of raw land being entitled, already sold to a national builder with the deposit in hand. Okay, so this raise here is $4 million to be able to develop this on this one. All right, another one here is in DC. This is in the historic district, high demand, luxurious location of Georgetown, right across the Key Bridge from Roslyn, Virginia, and Arlington, Virginia. Okay, so this is a luxury condo unit with 88 parking spaces for sale, and in this location, parking spaces are a premium, and people are willing to pay top dollar just to get a parking space for their car. Okay, here's another deal in Northern Virginia. It's 24 acres where we're looking to build 50 townhomes, both the site and also the vertical construction to be sold in the retail marketplace. You can see I-95 is just half a mile away. And right before that, there's already a townhouse community right next door to this. So that means it indicates there's high demand for townhouses in this area. Okay. Here's another opportunity in DC. It's a 51 unit deal on Florida Avenue and 14th Street. You can see there on Florida Avenue, there's the little orange tube there. That's the subway, the metro station there nearby. So it's a very high demand area. 51 units here being sold and rented with mixed use at the bottom. All right. Here's an opportunity in Caroline County, Virginia. It's 1,000 acres, a data center deal. So data centers have been high in demand in Virginia. The previous governor, Governor Youngkin, waived the excise taxes to be if you build your data center in Virginia, then they waive the taxes for computing and cooling equipment, which is why there's been a huge boom in data centers in the state of Virginia. For this deal, it's an incredible opportunity to be able to sell this to an Empire. The Empire's already lined up to be able to take on this once it's rezoned properly and the access road is in there. Okay, here's another deal that's just north of Richmond. This is in Ashland, Virginia, near I-95. You see I-95 is right there by the land, all right, by the land in the gray area. I'm sorry, the green area here that's highlighted. This is one of the best deals that our team could have gotten, guys. 70 acres, and they're purchasing it on an average of $33,000 per acre on average. All right, that's even cheaper in some places in rural North Carolina. All right, so this is a huge opportunity for our fund to be able to fund that, to be able to take on a very, very decent return. Here's another one in North Carolina, where it's 500 acres. And I love the fact that Fayetteville, North Carolina, our team has relationships with the city council, with the mayor, and all the people who makes decisions on these types of investments, because they want the locals to be able to stay in Fayetteville and spend money in Fayetteville and not have to drive all the way to Raleigh, North Carolina, which is an hour away, just to go to see a movie, to go to Cheesecake Factory, or go to Costco. They want all those things provided in Fayetteville because Fort Bragg is going to grow like crazy. There's been an executive order by the current president to relocate a lot of U.S. Army personnel, officers, and the brass in Fort Bragg, meaning that there's going to be a shortage of homes in that area for all these officers, and we're going to provide that need in this location here to service the men and women in uniform. So this goes right into the meat and potatoes of what this fund is all about. Again, the fund name is FH Growth Fund. Our target raise is $100 million, focusing on residential fix and flip, land development, and also multifamily. The minimum commitment is $250,000. Now, why do we choose $250,000? It's because based on SEC rules with 506B, we need to have accredited investors in our fund for public solicitation. And when you have accredited investors, invest $250,000, you are self-verifying that you are an accredited investor. Okay, we don't need to have a burden of extra administrative work to be able to verify you as an accredited investor through audited financials or through a verification form or things like that. Because if you invest $250,000, you have self-verified and there's no more questions need to be added. We then comply with our SEC rules and compliance, okay? LP-GP split. LP is a limited partner. That's you guys, the capital investors. GP, general partners, that's people like us who manage the fund to look for solid deals to be able to deploy into the deals and have a high return and low risk proposition. All right, it's an it's an 80 and 20 split. So 80% of the equity growth into the fund goes to you, the capital investors. All right, 20% comes to people like us, the general partners, to as incentive for us to find great deals, high returns and low risk. As it performs, then we get paid as well as incentive to make sure that you guys have a high return, low risk proposition. The rest is a management fee of 2% annually. So if you take a look at our table here on the preferred return table, committing $250,000 gives you a guaranteed return of 5%. If you invest $500,000, you get a guaranteed return of 5.5%. All right. So it goes down this table here, and you go all the way up to $10 million, you get a guaranteed return of 8%. All right. And so why this is important is that those are your guaranteed returns, hands down. All right. These returns can be paid to you on an annual basis, or if you want to, you can choose to have a compound annually back into the fund. So that way your returns can then compound annually and have a snowball every year. All right. So you take a look at our targeted returns here between 5 and 8% plus the equity growth of 13%. You have a total return of 18 to 22% on your money. All right. Term commitment is 5 years in total. And if you have a dire situation to where you need the money back before the 5 years is up, you can request it. We can't guarantee that we can return it quickly. It all depends on where our deals are in the pipeline and when we're expecting money to come back. But you can always put in a request, and if we're able to bring the money back to you, we would definitely do so, okay? But as you know, there would be some kind of a penalty for early withdrawals. But hey, life happens, and we want to make sure that we can be considerate for those situations in case of an emergency, okay? So 5-year commitment there, all right? Now, when you're investing in an FH growth fund, we're all in it to make money, right? But the biggest thing that is more exciting is the lasting impact that you have in the actual fund, okay? So we're more than just another real estate equity fund. It has a lasting impact in the following 4 pillars, all right? If you participate in this fund, you play a significant role in its impact, all right? So number 1, we serve those who serve in uniform. See, my parents came from Vietnam. My father was a veteran in the South Vietnamese Army. Of course, we lost the war. We were able to be sponsored by a local church in Buffalo, New York, allowing us to immigrate to the United States. And I was the first born in our family in the United States. All right. So I myself have a lot to be thankful for, because without the men in uniform, my family and I will not be enjoying the freedoms that we have here in this great country. So I know a lot of times, the barracks in Fort Bragg and other locations may not be as livable as it could be. And the men and women in uniform deserve so much better. So depending on the politics of the location, we want to encourage the local active duty men in uniform to be able to live privately off base, so that way they can live in a location that's suited for them. We also understand that families are important. I myself have 5 children. I understand that when you raise a family and mom and dad are busy, we want to be able to create a community where the kids are active outside through playgrounds, through community pools, and other things that they can keep them busy and engaged within the community and being neighborly and keep them out of trouble. We've seen time and time again that when there's neighborhoods and when kids grow up and become teenagers and so forth, and they don't stay occupied and busy with good things and good activities, they'll find their ways into mischief, and we want to prevent that. The nuclear family is very important for the next generation of our great country. All right. Also, supporting the needy. All right. There's a lot of kids out there that are born in less fortunate situations, whether because they have a single mom or single dad raising them because of unforeseen circumstances, or maybe they're just coming over to our country and immigrated, and they don't have the same opportunities as those who are born here. All right. We want to be able to support the needy. So portions of our investments and returns from our side as a GP comes to donating to places like Boxes of Basics. These are nonprofit organizations that provide basic needs for less fortunate children. And then my wife, Mary Rose, she has a nonprofit called Future Entrepreneurs of America. We're very passionate about this because, like most kids, we didn't learn entrepreneurship from public schools. We didn't learn them, or I didn't learn them mostly from my parents because they didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. All right, I actually learned on my own being self-taught. Well, just imagine teaching these skills to kids between 9 and 18 to learn entrepreneurship skills, stuff that they will never learn in public schools. All right, how to own and operate a business, which one is better, a profit or a wage when it comes to a tax code. How do you determine what is a good debt versus a bad debt? How do you leverage yourself? How do you own something and have equity come back to you whether you're there or not? These are things that school does not teach. And Future Entrepreneurs of America, we support them, and we give back to them, and they give back to us as well to be able to give back to these kids here because they're the next generation of entrepreneurs, okay? And we need that for our great country. All right, now let's meet our team, okay? I'm very excited about our power team. Myself, again, you guys know me. My name is Jan Lam. I have a master's degree in aerospace engineering. I used to work at NASA, used to work at DoD and DHS, and did all the things that thought would be successful from a corporate standpoint. And I also thought the key to success was to be smart. But what would you rather say? I am smart or I is a millionaire? I don't know about you guys, but the I is a millionaire sounds a whole lot better, all right? But I myself have been doing real estate since 2011. I started off on a part-time basis, just doing simple fix and flip deals. Within 2 years, I was able to leave my full-time job and been focused on real estate ever since then. And each year that we do real estate, we expand to something new, something more advanced, and something more incredibly opportunistic to be able to earn higher returns on those deals, okay? My good friend Kurt Morton, I've known him since 2011 as well. In fact, we started things together. He's a licensed agent, also founded a hard money company called Apogee Capital. So he has a lot of experience with short-term hard money lending. And with that experience, he can help head up our short-term portfolio as a portfolio manager to be able to deploy deals into fix and flip. Tony Barrows, our lawyer, I tell you guys, he is worth every dollar. Very expensive attorney, but he will make sure he'll go above and beyond to make sure the capital for our investors are protected in the real estate deals in case things go bad. And you can't think of a better attorney than the one to think of worst case scenario and make sure that worst case scenario still protects the investors and our company at the same time. All right. Victor Chopra, one of my good friends, I've known him for over 10 years. He's going to be our portfolio manager for land development. Okay, very successful entrepreneur and real estate developer in his own right as well. All right, next we have Sam Shelton, very sharp individual, heading up our site and construction management for vertical builds and also site development. Incredible guy. We have Jeremy Nix. He's owned a construction company and worked for large companies called as a director of operations for construction, such as Express Home Buyers and other large companies. So he'll be on our team to manage all the vertical construction for that part. Tim Winter is a design and custom home builder. Used to live in Northern Virginia, but now he currently lives in South Carolina and helps us heads up some of the deals that we have in North Carolina, which is right across the border from where he lives. Philip Tran, big in the commercial space, owns tons and tons of commercial properties, has tons of tenants that are constantly paying rent, and he knows how to structure these deals for cash flow purposes. So he's going to be big on some of our mixed-use communities where we can get cash flow down the road long term. All right, we have John Malatesta, a good friend of mine, also known him for over 10 years as a property manager, manages hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate assets as rental properties, and helps a lot of the buy and hold investors succeed very well through tenant management and tenant sourcing. We have Scott Shelton, who's an acquisition manager for land development. Very sharp individual. In fact, him and his family have a site development company that have done some incredible deals. One notable example is the African American Museum right across the White House in Washington, D.C. If you can do a museum in D.C., you can pretty much do anything in any other jurisdiction, okay? Because D.C. is one of the hardest places to get approvals because they're very, very adamant with red tape and fees and reviews, and things take a while as well. One of my good buddies, again, Daniel Whitford, acquisition managers for multifamily. He personally owns thousands of multifamily units across the entire country. A wealth of information when it comes to that aspect with value add strategies. As we underwrite multifamily, he'll be sponsoring these as well to make sure that the value add strategy is solid before we move on executing those particular deals. All right. So that's our team, guys. I call it the power team. Okay. Whatever you have in real estate, the team is right here with years and decades of experience on knowing how to execute and structure deals for massive success. All right, so what are the next steps? Become an LP, a limited partner, by completing our onboarding form online. Only 99 LPs are allowed in our fund because of legal restrictions on how it's structured. So only 99, all right? Complete our onboarding form, and the purpose of that in this QR code here is to collect your information on what your commitments are, so that way our admin can then create a subscription agreement. When you fill out this online form, are you committing any money? The answer is no, you're not committing any money. The purpose of that is for us to create the documents for you to review and look at before you commit fully with putting your signature on the dotted line. In addition to that, when you submit this form, you also have access to our data room. It will show you our past performance, it will show you our track record, it will show you all the different deals you've done in the past and how things are structured, so that way you can do your due diligence if this fund is for you to be able to achieve your financial goals as well. All right. So once you fill out the form, you then have access to our data room and also our pitch deck, our legal documents, our PPM, our LPAs, and so forth. All right. And then shortly thereafter, our admin will then create a subscription agreement for your signature. But again, it will give you a chance to review everything before you put your John Hancock on a dotted line. Okay. But once you do commit, all right, and sign on the dotted line, then you will await our admin for our capital call to wire the funds into our account for the deals that we have in the pipeline. And we time it very succinctly on when the deals are needed, the funds are needed for the deals we have in the pipeline. So that way your IRR is higher and is not diluted because of idle time when the funds have not deployed into the deal yet. So with that, guys, thank you so much for taking a look at this presentation. If you have any questions, just fill out the form. All right, and one of our team members will contact you to set up a one-on-one meeting to address any questions you have. You can also email us accordingly to ask any questions, or contact us through phone or text, and we will get those questions answered as soon as possible. We look forward to growing your money with FH Growth Fund and look forward to working with you in the very near future. Thank you very much.